Hello again, I'm Coyote Jack, and well, go back again and just to shit on Nintendo because you know what I already read about patenting, how they are destroying the industry. Yeah, Nintendo is destroying the gaming industry, the future prospects, the future alternatives with their patent trolling for actual generic based mechanics. So yeah, it's like they want to try to own. It's like if Ford patented to have a car that is the only allowed to have a steering wheel. And the way how they do it is like, no, we can't allow anyone to compete with us, so we are going to twist all the existing patent IP holders love to our will, and they actually did it. Because look at this one, Palworld they removed glinding. They announced that they were removing glinding because of that fucking lawsuit between Nintendo, which is just. I already ranted. You can actually agree that yeah, Nintendo should go out of business. In fact, they should be a retaliation to just destroy that company and every single executive a lawyer inside of them. Because what they're doing, Chief, look at this, man. Palworld showed gliding mouse since before Nintendo filed the patent. So it's not like they already filed this patent years prior. It never existed until this date. They they filed this one like yeah, like I said, this one sets the bad precedent that any single corporation now have their way. So I can fill this pattern if the moment it gets approved, I can screw what even existing alternatives. That imagine like sandbox games. Imagine if Cockstar Games filed a patent to be the only ones allowed to have in their games the mechanics to steal cars or be a sandbox. And they filed these lawsuits and then they destroy all the alternatives. Or even if they would sue Squeenix or whatever now has the rights for Sleeping Dogs. Even though, yeah, it's an older game, but if they pull it this shit, they can shut the distribution of that game by the legal means. So, well, let's read this article because I'm curious how they found this one. Nintendo targets indie hit over feature they try to patent later. Yep. In an interest tweet that has the gaming community talking, evidence has emerged that Pocket Pair demonstrated a gliding mount feature in Palworld 6 months before Nintendo filed a patent for a similar mechanic. That Japanese cock, a politician or government official that is in charge of this patent filing inside Japan should go in thrown in jail for the rest of his fucking life. I don't have sympathy for that piece of shit. So continue on. So in June 2021, Pocket Pair streamed gameplay showing characters using creator companions called Gliding Pals to get around the game world well before Nintendo's December 2021 patent application. They couldn't hit them with the art style, they followed this patent. Even though there have been other games when you can actually glide with birds and other flying creatures. So imagine it's like the only ones Nintendo has the rights to have games that you can actually mount in a dragon. Oh fucking shit show. So the parent of the center of this dispute isn't about creature designs or powerful spell characters looking Pokemon. Instead, especially covers a system for automatically choosing the most fair and readable creature based on terrain or player actions when a single input is made. Basically, it's a queer of life feature that switches between land, sea, and months depending on what the player needs. The timing has been conclusion in 2024, as Nintendo goes after Pocket Pair claiming the smaller studio infringed on patterns related to mount selection mechanics. These same mechanics show up in Nintendo's titles like Pokémon Legends Arceus. Facing this pressure, PokerPair reportedly removed the gliding pal feature from Palworld, especially the seamless contextual mount selection system. The situation is especially interesting because PokerPair had rolled out similar mount mechanics in their early game, Graftopia, which could give more evidence or prior art. Other games like Ark Survival Evolved, because yeah, I know that one, World of Warcraft, or even Ascrit have included similar ideas over the years. Oh yeah, I remember, it was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. You know that Da Vinci's device? Yeah, I remember. The clash highlights ongoing tensions between parent laws and game development creativity. It's because it is. They are destroying all future prospect of video games in current year by doing this parent trolling when these parents don't have a fucking case. They don't have it because primarily they were already existing games before, and suddenly now they are the whole owners of that. And I have to say, yeah, I know Nintendo never stopped being Yakuza, but having this Yakuza roaming inside the government to allow this parent trolling, they Japan is even on the way. You know, Nintendo is like the ones that saving the industry. Now are on their way to destroying it. All the future. And I'm exaggerating with that because the existing lame-ass companies that they still have money to hold up to their past glory that they already tainted, they are going to start doing this shit and suing everyone because the Nintendo showed that to those corpos that they can get away with. This is why it pisses me the fuck off. Nintendo, among all of the companies, they are becoming the exact same evil just as the rest, just like Sony. They are even censoring their games. The Japanese releases they are already censoring and giving the same woke retarded DEI excuses such as the hair of consent, the body of consent, and the head of consent. The localization keeps roaming rampant because these morons, yeah, Nintendo of American Hero Kid, they put touching everything with their dirty hands covered in shit. And with this, well, this is the end. This is the fucking end for everything. Like, so to continue on, Nintendo has a long history of fiercely protecting its intellectual property through legal means. For smaller developers like Pokefair, fighting these kind of battles can be crazy expensive and takes a ton of time, no matter how strong their case is. The result of this fight could mean a lot of game studios everywhere. If Nintendo parent holds out even with evidence prior art, it might encourage other big companies to claim and defend patents on basic gameplay ideas. Yeah, that's why I've been ranting all of this. Some of the developers already mentioned Warner Bros. Controversial pattern on the Nemesis system because yeah, this is another one. As proof of how these moves can put a little of fresh ideas. Of where me at Bandai Namco patenting that loading screens can have mini games. Again, you know, it was Banco, it was Konami. It was one of those. Basic gameplay ideas. No, man. Or imagine like if suddenly Banco say, you know what? Since we right now have the holding rights for the Dark Souls games, why don't we in fact parent the mechanics of reviving for those games? No, and start suing every single Souls-like game to have the same kind of mechanic, even if you stated something very basic. Yeah, this is all the precedent that Nintendo is doing right now. So I will have to wonder how Nintendos are still going to excuse this shit. So anyway, thanks for watching and please take care.